Hello my rays of sunshine, welcome back to another video, and this video this week is going to be a very exciting one because it's the first ever weekly vlog. I know, hold your applause, please hold it. I figured that weekly vlogs on this channel would be the best way to go about filming my content, just because, as we've stated multiple times on this channel so far, I am a very slow reader, and typically it takes me like a week to finish a book, even if it's small. So I don't have any super big reading plans this week. I am mostly going to prioritize one book in particular because it is a hefty book. However, I do have two on the side that I also am working on slowly but surely. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the books that I hope to read this week. So book number one, I'm sure you may have guessed it because I was so obsessed with the first book in this series last week on my 24-hour reading vlog. And so I had to immediately go ahead and pick up Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the second book in the Legendborn cycle. I'm 192 pages into it. Chapter 20, and as you may have saw by my pen, I am annotating this one, so it is taking me a little bit. I also did hit a little bit of a reading slump after that 24-hour readathon, just because I binged the heck out of Legendborn. So jumping right into this one, I was really excited. However, I was just like, okay, maybe I should have taken a break first, but now I'm dedicated because I'm back in the world. And I'm loving it. Of course, I'm loving it. I can't talk about anything that is involved with this book because, as I said, it is Legendborn Book 2. So I'm not going to go into big details, but just know that this book is my main priority this week, and I'm having a really great time reading it, and I can definitely see it possibly being another 5-star. Which is so disappointing if I finish it right now, though, because the third book, Oathbound, I think I read somewhere that it's not coming out until January. So it would really be such a long time to wait, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to read this now after the ending of book 1 and just knowing what happened and everything that went down. So very happy to be reading this, but also I don't want it to end, so I'm glad that I still have a pretty big chunk of it left. On my Kindle, I recently picked up Beach Read by Emily Henry. Funny story just came out, we all know, and I have been getting serious FOMO from that because I am not caught up with Emily Henry's books. I've only read 2 books by Emily Henry. One was Book Lovers, and then the other one was People We Meet on Vacation. And I own Happy Place and I own Beach Read. But Emily Henry is kind of a hit or miss for me because People We Meet on Vacation just definitely did not live up to the hype for me. I found it kind of boring and nothing special, to be honest. But then I read Book Lovers and I really did enjoy that one. So just knowing that a lot of people say that Beach Read is their favorite, and, you know, the funny story talk going around, I was just like, okay, you know, we'll pick up Beach Read, and so that way I can hopefully get caught up, read Happy Place, and then be able to pick up Funny Story. So I am currently 14% into this. I was like really getting into it for the first little chunk, and this is just kind of like when I'm burnt out from reading Bloodmarked and all of the heavy political fantasy stuff that's happening with that one. This is kind of just like my turn your brain off book, and I'm really enjoying it so far. The characters are fun, but honestly can't say too much about it because only 14% of the way through, so I don't really know too much about everything that's going on just yet. But if you have never heard of Beach Read before, which would be crazy because it's everywhere on the internet, this is a story that follows our main character January, and her father at the very beginning of this book has passed away, and she is currently dealing with the grief of that, but also the revelation that her dad was cheating on her mom, and she grew up being a hopeless romantic and thinking that like no one could be as good as my dad, and my parents' relationship is so beautiful and I want to love like that. And then after he passed away, she found out that her mom knew that her dad was seeing another woman, and so basically her dad ends up leaving her a key for this beach house in Michigan, and she goes and she's trying to write a book and kind of just get out of this life slump that she's in. And she finds out that the neighbor next door is actually her college rival, Gus, and he is also an author. So if I do get brain dead from all of the fantasy that I am reading from Bloodmarked, then I will go ahead and pick this up. The final book that I am currently listening to on audio is a book that I've talked about recently, which was Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. I'm currently still listening to that. I am very slow when it comes to audiobooks. Like, typically they'll take me months to finish because I don't listen to audiobooks every day. I just kind of am a casual listener, so I'm still trudging my way through that. I'm still enjoying it. Probably not as much as when I last talked to you because since I spread audiobooks out so much, it kind of does make me lose interest a little bit. But I am hoping to get back into that grind of audiobooking while I'm also crocheting, because I actually have some really fun crochet projects that I am working on. So in June, me and my boyfriend and his family, we are actually taking a beach trip. And so I decided that I would take it upon myself to try and crochet myself some tops for the summer. And currently I am in the middle of making a top. I'll try and post a picture of it here in the frame so you can see it. And so currently the granny squares I made are currently being blocked, which basically means like resized, and they're still wet. Today's goal for crochet is basically just trying to get like some more of that top made. And then while I do that, hopefully I will listen to some of Thistlefoot, because I also have this habit of listening to lo-fi while I crochet because it's so relaxing, or just listening to nothing at all. So we'll see what the vibes bring along. Those are the reading plans for the week. If I just so happen to be able to finish Bloodmarked, I really do need to get into my buddy read for the month of May, which is A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. I really need to get going on that because the end of May is creeping up so fast. It's literally next week. So I really do need to get working on that. Those are my final reading plans for the week. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and get some reading done. I think I'm gonna start reading Bloodmarked. Let's just go ahead and do it. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. Hello friends, we are coming at you with a floor update for this one. It is now Tuesday, and quite frankly, I don't really have a lot to update you on because I read a whopping 25 pages of Bloodmarked yesterday. I know. We can all sigh in disappointment because I just got so distracted with myself. I was watching YouTube, I was talking with my boyfriend, talking with my friends, literally doing anything but reading basically, even though I was so excited to start filming this video. And look at me. I'm ashamed. But now it is Tuesday and it is really not gone any better. I have not read a single page today. I came home from work and I needed a nap so desperately. So I took one from 4 and now it is 6. We are going to try and make a change to that because there is no reason that I should be distracted today. My brother's not home. There's no one at this house to distract me but myself. So I really want to try and read at least 50 pages of Blood Marked and maybe a little bit of Beach Read. I'm kind of feeling in the mood to read on my Kindle for a little bit, so we'll see how the night goes. I really just want to make some good progress today. And at this point, if I cannot make good progress today, then I know it is me, myself, and I to blame. But the sun has shined upon me because I put in for a day off at work on Friday and it did get approved. So I'm hoping that if this week starts off crappy with the reading progress, that I can make up for it on Friday. I am going to try and get some reading done, maybe outside, if those cicadas that y'all heard in yesterday's clip don't distract me or gross me out too bad. We'll try and get outside, but I'm not gonna make any promises. If I don't talk to you tonight with the update of the reading, then tomorrow is when I will see you next. So yeah, sorry for the tiny update. I wish there was more, but any progress is good progress, and that is what we are saying here on this channel. Any progress is good progress. Repeat after me. You're right. So right, bestie. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get to it, and I'll see you guys later. Hey y'all, so it's quite some time later. It's about 10 p.m. now, and I've just decided to close the book for tonight because I am starting to get really tired, but I figured that I would take a little bit to update you on my progress for tonight. After dinner, we ended up going on a walk, me and my mom, and then we decided that the sun was still out. It was a beautiful day, so we were gonna go ahead and decide to read outside. So she read in the hammock on her Kindle, and I read some of Blood Marked outside. And then, you know, a little bit later came back in, read some more. And now I am officially on part 3, which is so exciting. I did meet the goal of over the 50 pages too, which is awesome. And so I'm really excited because part 3 is where Legendborn really started to get exciting and where I started to slowly become like obsessed with this series. And I think that's what I need right now, because it's not that I'm not liking this book, it's just that it's similar to Legendborn in the way where there's just a lot of buildup in the first half, and like, I'm here for the vibes. I already love the characters. There is some like action scenes happening and everything, but mostly right now it's just a lot of learning more about the world still. I'm ready for it to pick up now, and I hopefully think that part 3 is going to be that pickup once again. I'm still annotating it like crazy with my good old trusty black pen, and I'm just overall having a great time, and I do hope that I can finish it this week, hopefully by Friday. I think that's going to be the goal. Hopefully that personal day I was telling y'all about will help out with that. I'm officially like halfway through, so hopefully if I keep a steady pace over the next couple of days, I can really try and bang this out before Friday. But yes, I am calling it quits for the night, so that's gonna be my update for Tuesday, and I will go ahead and see y'all tomorrow. I'm hoping to go to the library after work and do some reading there, so that should be really fun. And of course, I will take you guys along with me. So yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow for Wednesday. It is currently Wednesday, and I'm here to give you another tiny update because I read probably a total of 10 pages of Bloodmark today. I read a little bit at work when I had some time, and then the worst of the worst happened because after school, I did end up going to the library. And when I was halfway to the library, I realized that I left my book in my desk at work. So when I got to the library, I was kind of discouraged, to say the least, because I really wasn't in the mood to beach read. So I ended up actually getting Bloodmarked on my Kindle from my library, and I did read like another chapter, but that also did not go as planned because the people there were like so disruptive and just like there was so much going on, and even with my headphones I was just like getting annoyed, so I just ended up leaving after like a half hour. So not much reading progress, and unfortunately I probably won't read any more of Bloodmarked today because reading it on my Kindle and not being able to like fully annotate it the way I want has really just put a dapper on the mood to read today. But you know what I do have to do? Work on my crochet project, because I've been so focused on reading Bloodmark that I have completely neglected it. And so I think today is my opportunity. I checked to see how far along in Thistlefoot I am. I have about 6.5 hours left, but I am more than halfway through. So I figured, you know what? Let's just continue to make the best of it. I'm going to sit and I'm going to crochet for a little while. I'm deciding to make the cups for the top that I'm making today, and maybe a little bit more if I'm getting into it. And then we're gonna listen to some of Thistlefoot and make some progress in that. So we're not gonna let these tiny hiccups get in the way of our reading progress today. Probably include some clips of me crocheting, we'll see, but if I don't, then I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey y'all, it's Friday now, and I am so sorry that I did not get to update you yesterday. I literally just did not get any reading done yesterday. I went to work and then I came home and me and my boyfriend went on a date. We went to do some mini golfing and then we went to dinner, and I unfortunately didn't get any footage of that, so that kind of sucks. But after that, we were just so full from the dinner that we had that we came home and crashed. So I did not get any reading done yesterday. So that is why we're here today on Friday for hopefully a decent amount of reading to do today. But before we get into that, I wanted to just update you on what I have read so far and what the plans are for the day and all that good stuff. On Wednesday, I was actually able to make a decent amount of progress through Thistlefoot, and I was listening to that while I was crocheting for a while, and I ended up listening to about like 2-ish hours of it. So now I have 4.5 hours to listen to, and I think that is very manageable to get done this weekend while I do more crochet, because my flower granny squares are finally dried from being blocked. So I got the cups, I got the squares, so I definitely want to make some progress on that. And then since the progress that I have made in the books this week has not been where I want it to be, I just figured that we'd extend this vlog into tomorrow, Saturday, just to be able to give myself a little bit more time to hopefully finish at least one book. And because of that, I did want to change up the reading plans a little bit. I know I said at the beginning of the vlog I really did want to prioritize reading Bloodmarked, and while that is true, I literally only have 1 week to finish the book club book and I haven't even started it. I decided that throughout today and tomorrow I would just decide to binge both Thistlefoot and beach read. I'm about 15% into beach read right now, so I figured I have it on my Kindle, I have it physically, so I really would just make this my new priority for the next couple of days, so that way I can finish this and hopefully Thistlefoot, because I do want to crochet a little bit. After I finish this, then I can go ahead and jump into our book club buddy read for this month called A Ladder to the Sky. I talked a little bit about this book in my last vlog. My bestie Sunny picked it for our buddy read for May. I don't really know what it is about. I think it's basically about this guy who wants to be famous, but it doesn't really go well for him, and so he ends up basically stealing someone else's movie or something like that, or it says story on the back. So I was saying in my last vlog that it sounds similar to Yellowface for me, and I haven't read that book, but I have heard amazing things. So I feel like if I read this and I enjoy it, then I will definitely have to jump into Yellowface soon. My friend Sunny has read this before, and she ended up giving it 5 stars the first time, and she was saying that it's one of those books that makes you angry and it has an unreliable narrator. So I definitely want and need to get to this book at no later than Sunday. Come and join me for the rest of this chill vlog. I will hopefully be able to update you throughout the day because, like I said, not doing anything. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the reading. So, funny story. When I said that I was gonna update you throughout the day, that was truly the intention. And then I hyperfixated on my crochet top, and now it is currently 10:30 at night. It looks really good so far. I'll probably show it to y'all tomorrow when it's not tangled up in yarn, but I am pretty pleased with how it's coming out so far. Yeah, it is now currently 10:30 at night. I have been a hermit crocheting all day. But I did want to hop on and update y'all because I did actually end up finishing Thistlefoot. I will give my more in-depth thoughts on the book tomorrow, but I am going to settle on 4 stars for it. I really enjoyed it, and just everything that it had going for it. It was just a very unique book, to say the least. It was an interesting turn of events because I said this morning I was going to prioritize reading beach read, and I did read a little bit of that as well. I am now at like 20%, so I only read like 6% of the book, which isn't a lot, but still something. Now I am done with the crocheting. I'm done with Thistlefoot. So I think I do feel like I have some energy in me to read something physically, but I definitely don't want to pick up A Ladder to the Sky tonight. I just don't think that's gonna work for me right now. So I think what I might do is take a shower and wash off all the Hermit and possibly pick up A Sign of Affection Volume 3. I don't have it on me right now, but I think just reading a manga and like turning off my brain and reading something cute and fluffy and just fun will really end off my night on a great note. I also have to do my Spanish now that I'm thinking about it, so I gotta do that first. And then I think I might pick up A Sign of Affection Volume 3. But yeah, that's just gonna be my final update for the night. And hopefully I do read A Sign of Affection. We'll see. But if I don't talk to y'all again tonight, I will definitely see you tomorrow morning for the reading plans for tomorrow. Good night, y'all. morning, everyone. It is now Saturday, and I do have quite a bit of reading updates to give to y'all this morning because I did end up finishing 2 books yesterday, which is super exciting. So the first book, which I mentioned, I finished listening to on audiobook, was Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. I'm gonna go into some non-spoiler thoughts first before getting into the spoilery thoughts, and when I do get into those thoughts, I'll go ahead and put a picture of the cover or put the book down when I'm done or something like that, so y'all will know when you can skip ahead to avoid spoilers if you are interested in reading this book. But if you don't know anything about Thistlefoot, it is basically about these 2 siblings, the Yaga siblings, Isaac and Bellatine, and they both have their own like not supernatural, but their own distinct powers. Isaac can basically shapeshift into anyone he wants to, and Bellatine has this power called the Embering, where she can bring things to life with her hands. Isaac ran away from home when he was in high school, so him and Bellatine have not spoken in many, many years. And all of a sudden, one day, Isaac gets a call from Bellatine saying that their grandmother has passed away and she left them an inheritance. And this inheritance is this walking, living house. And so Bellatine ends up naming the house Thistlefoot. And the thing about Thistlefoot is that Isaac basically doesn't want anything to do with Thistlefoot. So he says, hey, if you help me transform Thistlefoot into a traveling puppet theater, then I'll sell you my share of the house. And so of course she agrees, and they tour around the country putting on puppet shows that their parents used to put on when they were kids. And eventually you come to find out that there is someone chasing after them, and it gets, you know, deeper into the story of what's happening here. That's all I'm going to tell you for a simple synopsis, because that's all I really knew going in. I am going to settle on 4 stars for this book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think listening to the audiobook was a really good decision because the narrator does a really good job of making the story very immersive with accents and singing and different voices for different characters and that kind of thing. So I think that if you do want to go into this book, I definitely would give the audiobook a try, but I'm sure reading it physically would also be just an incredible experience with the turn that this book takes, because when I went into it, I thought it was just like a fantasy book that also mixes in folk tales and folklore of Jewish culture, but it does get deeper than I thought, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I would say that this book is truly nothing like I've ever read before. It is just a very unique story, and it brings a lot to the table, and I really think that even if you're not typically into a dark atmosphere or like a gothic kind of story, I still think that everyone should give this book a try just because of the message that it portrays to the audience, and that is basically that, you know, no matter what you can do, or no matter what you try to do to try and erase a people or a culture from society, it will still live on as long as there are people there to remember this culture and society, or, you know, spread their values and the different things that they do, foods, music, stories, whatever. And so because of that reason, I really do think that even if you think this may not be your cup of tea, that you should give it a try, because it was just fun, but also really deep and reflective. With all of that being said, I am going to get into a little bit of spoilers. So when I do put the book down, that's when I'm gonna finish talking about spoilers. So skip ahead. Maybe I'll put a timestamp if you want to avoid spoilers for this book. And I'll give you a second to click off or skip. All right. Now that the non-spoiler people are gone, I basically just wanted to take a couple of minutes to go into the fact of like how I didn't know that this was also a historical fiction book, because I really love how the author just wound all of these different elements together with taking the story of the main characters and their life and their ancestry, and then connecting it to the folklore of Baba Yaga. If you don't know the story of Baba Yaga, I think I don't even 100% know it, but I'm pretty sure it's like this folk tale that people use to scare their children away from doing certain things. But I think it's about this witch that lives in the woods and she eats children or something like that. This book definitely takes a new spin on this tale and makes Baba Yaga a real life person, you know, really humanizes that character and gives her a life and children, and, you know, she sells eggs at the marketplace. And it's really interesting too because Thistlefoot is the one who tells us the story of Baba Yaga and her life. So I loved how the author wove those two stories in together while also involving this whole big historical event that even me, who my mom grew up Jewish, I didn't know about. And it's basically talking about this historical event called the pogrom. And I did look it up because I know sometimes with historical fiction, they will change up some events and stuff like that, or they'll call it something else, but it's based off of this real event or whatever. So I did go ahead and look up the pogrom. And basically, it's exactly what it says in this book. There were some Russian people who would go and make riots in Jewish villages and basically massacre the entire community and of Jewish people. And so that is where I was saying before that I loved how this book ended. Just the way that Bellatine and Isaac were able to combat that event and the Long Shadow Man as a character was just so interesting, because having Isaac transform into all of the people who the Long Shadow Man killed or that were killed in the pogrom, it was just such a magical way to share the story of the people's culture and saying that, like, you can try to kill off these people, you know, because it does talk about the Holocaust a little bit too, of course, because that was a huge historical event in the Jewish community that was very terrible. And so the message of this book just being, you can try all you want to kill off an entire culture or an entire religion or a group of people, but as long as there are people within life, as long as there is one person, and it could be anybody, and in this case it was Thistlefoot, they can go on and share the stories of these people and share the culture of these people. Like I said, whether it be through music or food or stories or just sharing the lives of these people and the ways that they go about their life. It was just really a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message, and I loved it. And that was what really bumped this book up to 4 stars for me, because at first I was thinking 3 because there was just a lot of build up and it was very mysterious in the way of, like, what is this Long Shadow Man? And, like, when it was just taking a lot to get there, I was kind of just like, okay, what's the bigger plot here? What are we trying to talk about? Once the ending came around and it wrapped all up and it was explaining how everything was tied together and everyone was tied together, I just knew that it couldn't be anything lower. It was just incredible. The atmosphere was immersive, and it was just, like I said, such a unique story, and I think that everyone should give this book a try because of this message. And it was weird too, because I was saying to my mom a little bit that when I read this book and I read about that message, it kind of reminded me, and this is a weird parallel to make, so forgive me if this is a long shot, but it did kind of remind me of the movie Coco. I love that movie. It's literally one of my favorite movies ever. But basically that movie also talks about how you'll always remember your family as long as you share their memories and you share their pictures and just talk about them and how they live their lives. I did really enjoy seeing that because I love that message. This book was a gem, a hidden gem to say the least. I can definitely see why it was so popular when I picked it up, I think 1 or 2 years ago, and I can see why my friends really love it. If you have never heard of Thistlefoot before, please go ahead and give it a try. It is, like I said, it's very dark and reflective, but it's also just good time with the fantasy elements and everything. It was truly great, and I do, like I said, highly recommend the audiobook as well. All right, we are done with Thistlefoot. Thanks for skipping ahead if you didn't want the spoilers. I just had to, of course, take a moment to talk about how the book impacted me, because like Legendborn, which I talked about in my last vlog, it is one of those books that talks about the history of a certain group of people, and specifically the Jewish community, and Legendborn talks about the Black community and how it has to do with American history and all that stuff. So I just really appreciate that I have been reading all of these really reflective books that are teaching me more and more about the different histories of the world and how these groups and communities were affected by those things. So I thought that was really cool. But yes, so after Thistlefoot, I went ahead and I did pick up A Sign of Affection Volume 3. And of course, I gave this book 5 stars because A Sign of Affection truly does not deserve anything less. It is so cute. I shared a couple of my favorite panels without hopefully spoiling too much, but it is just such a cute series, and I have seen a couple of other booktubers, Thrown at Pages, I think she read it, and Clockwork Reader is also reading it, and just seeing A Sign of Affection get the praise and love that it deserves has been making me so happy, because it's so cute and lighthearted, and it's just a really good time with some awesome deaf representation. I honestly think I might pick up volume 4 today because my besties all say that it just gets better and better and better as you keep going. And I know my Books A Million by me also sells like the last couple of volumes that I don't have, so I really want to go and pick those up, but I'm gonna wait until I finish the volumes that I have before I jump the gun and buy the rest of them. I was giggling and kicking my feet and just swooning because this man, he's over here saying like, I'm gonna spoil you, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then you have like the classic anime and manga tropes of like the head pats and the wall slams, and just like, I ate it up as per usual. And so I can't say enough good things about A Sign of Affection, but if you love manga or you want to get into manga, I would highly recommend A Sign of Affection. It is so cute and just a great time. Now that I have updated you on what I finished yesterday, let's talk about the reading plans for today, because I hyperfixated so much on this top yesterday that I think I definitely want to take a break from crocheting for a good majority of today and really focus on reading, because now that I've finished Thistlefoot, that does open up a book to be read, so I definitely do want to pick up A Ladder to the Sky today. It is like 316-ish pages, so I'm kind of hoping that I can finish it this weekend, because I do have a 3-day weekend because of Memorial Day, and I really do need to finish this before Friday, so I'm really hoping to pick that up today and get it started, maybe 50-100 pages, but we'll see. But I definitely do want to also read a good chunk of Beach Read today, because I am getting to the part where they're trying to like make their bet about, I bet you can't write my genre and so on. I think the goal today is that I want to try and get to 50% of Beach Read, and then after that I will pick up A Ladder to the Sky. If I do want to crochet, I think I'll pick up Beach Read on audio. So I did just happen to notice that the audio for this clip just totally disappeared, and I don't know why, but basically I was just saying that let's go ahead and get into reading. Woohoo! Gonna have a great time. Yay! Beach Read! Good morning everyone. It is Sunday, which means that it is now time to close out this vlog. Let's just take a couple of minutes and talk about all of the reading progress that I made this week. I finished a couple books, I made some hefty progress in others, so let's go ahead and talk about it. At the beginning of the week, I started off with binging some of Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which I read in my last vlog, so if you haven't watched that yet, go ahead and watch that first. I loved that book. It was 5 out of 5 stars, a new favorite, so I knew I immediately had to jump into the sequel. Unfortunately, as I went on later in the week, I kind of had to put this book on pause just because of all the other things that I had to read on my TBR, so hopefully I can pick this book back up this upcoming week after I finish the books that I am currently now working through. But I went from page 220 to 300-ish. So I read about 100 pages of this. I got to about 50% this week. So I would say that's pretty good progress to set me up to hopefully finish it this upcoming week, maybe by next weekend. Loving it, of course. I love the vibes. I am just ready for this book to pick up right now because where I'm at, it's kind of like still building up to everything. But that's exactly what happened in Legendborn as well. And we are now in part 3. So I'm hoping that just like in Legendborn, that it will pick up in part 3 again and everything will go crazy just as it did in book 1. After I was reading Bloodmarked for a while, I was really into my crochet project that I'm currently working on, which I'll try and show you in a second, but it's still tangled up in some yarn. While I was doing that, I ended up finishing the audiobook for Thistlefoot, and I did go into my spoiler-filled thoughts earlier in this video, so I'm not going to get into it again. But I did finish this book and I settled on a 4 stars. Really enjoyed this book. Definitely loved the audiobook and recommend that. And the message of this book was just fantastic. I really do recommend that everybody goes ahead and reads this. And I feel like it could leave that really hard-hitting impact on people. And then after crocheting for literally the entire day, I ended up picking up A Sign of Affection after finishing Thistlefoot because I just needed to give my brain a break, and this series is the perfect series to do that. I rated this volume 5 stars because it deserves nothing less in my opinion. A Sign of Affection is truly just so cute, so fun, so wholesome. Wholesome's like my favorite word right now. And then towards the end of the week, yesterday, I decided that I was gonna put Bloodmarked on hold because I was going to go ahead and binge some of Beach Read to hopefully try and finish that. Now, I did not finish it, but I did get 30% done of this book. I started off at 20 and I did end up at 50%, so I did reach the goal that I set out for myself. I am definitely enjoying Beach Read a lot more now than I was in those like initial like 50-ish pages, which is, you know, to be expected. I just think that January and Gus definitely have their own personal issues that bring out so much like rawness and realness to the characters and make them very relatable, and just the ways of like having a hard time expressing yourselves, or like why is this person the way that they are and it's because of these reasons and all that kinds of stuff. I'm finally at the point where the romance is really starting to take off, so I'm excited to get through the second half of this book, and hopefully I'm thinking it's probably gonna be like a 4 stars right now. We'll see, but maybe the ending will bump it up to the 5. I definitely think too that this is my current favorite Emily Henry book. I read People We Meet on Vacation, which I really didn't like that much, and then Book Lovers, which was okay. Wasn't a favorite. I think I rated it 4 stars. It was good, but this one I feel like just brings a depth to it that those two did not, and I know this book is a lot of people's favorite Emily Henry book, so I definitely see that being the same for me. And then yesterday, once I ended up getting to the 50% mark of Beach Read, I decided to go ahead and pick up the Besties buddy read for May, which was A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. This is by the same author who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, so I am kind of nervous to see where this is going to go. I'm literally only like 44 pages into it, and so far I'm just like, what am I getting myself into? Because the synopsis on the back doesn't tell me very much about this book, like at all. And so I was reading those first couple of pages, and the narrator is talking about his personal life, and he's like this 66-year-old man, and he's like in a bar, and he's a famous writer, and he's talking about like his life story and how he was a Nazi and all these things. And I was like texting my best friends, and I was like, okay, was nobody gonna tell me the main character was a Nazi? And then Bestie Allie explained that the narrator of this book is not actually the main character. It's actually this 22-year-old man that the narrator lusts over. So that's cool. I haven't really dived too deeply into it, but from what I've read so far, I'm like really thinking that I have to suspend my disbelief or just like kind of separate myself from this book, because I just feel like it's going to be one of those books that if I really am trying to like the characters, I'm not going to enjoy it at all. So as I go through more of this book, hopefully today, and finish it up this week, I really just think that I have to take a step back and be like, okay, this is fiction. And, you know, you're not supposed to like the characters and what they do, but you just have to kind of go along for the ride. All right, real quick before we say goodbye, I figured I would take a second to try and show you my crochet project. This is the top that I am working on. I'm almost done with it, actually. I just have to kind of reinforce the straps and make the ties in the back. So there's a couple more steps that I have to get through. But yeah, that is currently what I'm working on and was hyper fixating on for like the entirety of Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's reading vlog. I hope it was kind of an insight as to what my weekly reading looks like. I know it's not a lot, but the progress that I did make this week, I am pretty satisfied with. So that's just coming with having a full-time job and then coming home and sleeping. But the good news is that summer vacation is literally in like a week and a half. So once that comes around, I definitely am hoping to film more and maybe do some challenge videos over the summer and really just bump up the quantity of books that I read so far this year. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!